So how can you go about improving quality? The terms and conditions of the contract typically spell out the time and material requirements, the information requirements. But the contract can be complex. And it but if you look at the contract, you then have to look inside the order fulfillment process to understand what are the information requirements. How can you build in fail safes, for example, to prevent incorrect information being entered into time and material fields in terms of any kind of system? Can you simplify the contract terms? What's the minimal necessary information that's needed to invoice a customer? It's important for accounts receivable to receive the completed contract well in advance of when the invoicing occurs so that they can prepare themselves for the information requirements. They might be able to create the customized invoice in a template, and they may be able to error-proof some of the fields in that customer invoice so that the invoice cannot be sent if there's incorrect or missing information. And it's also important to understand, is there any offline information that may be needed on the invoice that is not tracked in systems. In terms of improving flow and delivery, many complex invoicing processes are based on periodic invoicing, such as monthly. That creates the ability of upstream process steps to sort of take their time in gathering, reporting, and reviewing the necessary invoice information because they send it to accounts receivable only once a month because that's when the invoicing occurs. That's a big batch process. So what can you do? Look upstream and reduce the batch size. Okay, so in terms of recording time and material information, reviewing it and approving it, do it more frequently than monthly. Weekly is better than monthly. Daily is better than weekly. What's reasonable to occur? If you have to employ daily lean management practices in terms of time and material tracking, that would be very, very helpful to keep things on task. In terms of the validation of progress, can you reduce the batching and validate more frequently? Even if a customer has to do that. It's better than once a month because if you do it once a month and the customer says, no, we didn't get that far, then you have a whole month to adjust. Reduce batching in terms of sending the invoice information to accounts receivable. The idea is send the information weekly even if accounts receivable can only invoice monthly, because accounts receivable can possibly begin preparing the invoice. Finally, can you change dates? You might not be able to change monthly invoicing, but do you have to invoice at the end of the month? Can you invoice at a different date to reduce the month-end surge of having to prepare invoices?